A garden can fail even when the seeds germinate and the plants grow. More plants do not always mean more useful food from the same space. At times, the problem is not effort, but garden design. Rows can leave bare soil, unsupported beans, and open ground for weeds. An older way of growing food approached those problems differently. It did not promise a garden without labor or a perfect harvest. It used plant relationships to make garden work more efficient. Corn, beans, and squash were grown together in one shared planting. Today, many gardeners know this method as the Three Sisters Garden. In Mesoamerica, related systems are also known through milpa farming. The idea was simple, and its value for growers was practical. Corn grew tall, beans climbed upward, and squash spread across the soil. One planting offered support, food, shade, and ground cover together. For home gardeners, this matters because every growing space has limits. There's only so much sunlight, water, compost, money, and time. The Three Sisters system helped one space serve several purposes. That is why this old method remains worth studying today. The USDA National Agricultural Library describes the Three Sisters as indigenous agriculture. The crops were planted together, protecting and nourishing each other while growing. The USDA also makes an important point for modern gardeners. This was never only a modern gardening hack or clever trick. It carried cultural, spiritual, and food system meaning for indigenous communities. Among the Seneca, the Three Sisters were recorded as Dioheko. The phrase has been translated as, "These sustain us," or "our sustainers." That meaning shows why the system reached beyond backyard technique. It was about dependable food, land, labor, and seasonal knowledge. The timeline begins long before modern raised beds and packaged seeds. USDA sources cite archaeological evidence dating North American adoption to 1070 AD. Scholarship also notes Seneca cultivation of the system before European contact. By 1910, Arthur C. Parker had recorded Seneca traditions about it. Gardeners using this system today are borrowing from deep agricultural knowledge. The practical structure begins with 3 crops serving different roles. Cornell Cooperative Extension explains that corn provides a natural pole for beans. Beans fix nitrogen with help from bacteria around their roots. Squash grows low and wide, shading soil with large leaves. That shade can reduce weeds and slow moisture loss from the ground. Cornell also notes that squash leaves can be large and prickly. Their texture may deter some animal pests near the planting area. The cause and effect pattern is useful for a home garden. Corn planted first may reduce the need for separate bean supports. Squash covering the ground leaves less bare soil for weeds. Beans in the mix can support soil fertility over time. There is also a clear warning for gardeners to understand. Cornell warns that beans do not instantly feed corn that season. Most nitrogen fixed by beans is not available in the first year. The roots must break down before much nitrogen becomes useful. Corn may still need compost, manure, or fertilizer for strong growth. The old method does not remove responsibility from the gardener. It changes how the work is organized within the garden. Cornell's planting advice is specific, not decorative or random. The site should receive 6 to 8 hours of direct sun. Planting should begin after the danger of frost has passed. Night temperatures should be in the 50-degree Fahrenheit range. Water must be available because the planting still needs moisture. Cornell says the system needs about 1 inch of water weekly. If rainfall is not enough, the gardener still needs to irrigate. This is important for anyone expecting a low-work miracle. Without warmth, sun, prepared soil, and water, the system can struggle. The older method saves effort in some areas, but not all. Cornell recommends building a mound about 12 inches high. The mound can be 18 inches to 3 feet wide. In dry areas, the top can be flattened with a shallow depression. This helps keep water from running off before reaching roots. Corn is planted first because it must become strong enough for beans. Cornell suggests soaking 4 to 7 corn seeds for several hours. They are planted 6 inches apart, then thinned to 3 or 4. Beans and squash are planted after the corn reaches 6 inches high. That timing matters, because weak corn cannot support climbing beans well. When the corn is ready, 6 pole bean seeds go around it. They are planted in a circle about 6 inches from the corn. Squash or pumpkin seeds are planted about 1 foot from the beans. Cornell suggests 4 squash or pumpkin seeds, then thinning as needed. The result is a small living structure within the garden. Corn becomes the upright frame, and beans become the climbing vine. Squash becomes a living mulch, spreading across the warm soil. For gardeners with limited space, that structure can be valuable. Cornell says a mini version can grow in a large container. The container needs drainage and at least 6 hours of daily sunlight. This keeps the idea relevant beyond large traditional fields. Wider research helps explain why the system was more than convenient. A 2025 review reported an average land equivalent ratio of 1.34 for milpa. That means combined planting used land more efficiently than separate monocultures. The review suggested possible land conservation of up to 25%. For gardeners, the practical meaning is direct and useful. One bed may produce more combined harvest from the same area. Not because every plant always produces more by itself. The system works by using the growing space more completely. A 2021 scientific reports study examined 829 milpa plots in Guatemala. In those plots, maize was grown with beans on 78%. 24% had maize with 2 other crops in the system. 4% had maize with 3 other crops growing together. Maize grain yield was lower in milpa than in monocropped maize. The difference was not statistically significant in that study. The larger result was an increase in total food diversity. When all crops were counted, total caloric yield was consistently higher. For home gardeners, success should be measured across the whole bed. A single crop does not always show the full result. The better measure is what the planting gives back through the season. Corn alone is one outcome. Corn, beans, and squash are another. Other experiments cited in the research also showed strong productivity results. Iroquoian-style systems had land equivalent ratios from 1.06 to 1.3. Experimental maize, bean, and squash, milpa, in central Mexico reached 1.6 to 1.9. In those conditions, total productivity was much higher than maize alone. The honest lesson is not that every backyard will match those numbers. The lesson is that interplanting can change what one space produces. University of Minnesota Extension gives gardeners another important warning. Many companion planting charts online are not always accurate or research-backed. That warning matters because gardening advice can spread without proof. The Three Sisters system is stronger because it has documented history and research. Even so, the system should be used carefully and respectfully. It is not a shortcut around observation, timing, or local conditions. It is a planting design that works when the pieces fit properly. The current reality is that this old system remains useful today. It appears in Extension guidance, USDA education, and modern milpa research. For gardeners, the practical steps are clear and grounded. Choose enough sun, wait for warmth, plant corn first, then beans and squash. Keep watering, feed heavy corn if needed, and expect no instant nitrogen. Watch the whole harvest, not just the yield of one crop. The real strength of this old method is not magic. It is plants doing different jobs together, helping one garden grow wisely.